Back to my hometown. Thanks for taking a little time to visit with me today. Please welcome my guest today. 12 years ago, the oil field and ministry brought him and his family to Bowie. After leaving the oil field in 2018, he became a small business owner, which led him into other roles that have helped people in our community evolve, fight, and emerge. Please welcome my guest today, the owner of Dominion Training Camp, Eric Villarreal. Thank you, Eric, for joining me today. And we are in the training camp, or part of it.
Yes.
It's a big space, so we couldn't.
Exactly.
So thank you for taking a little time to visit with me today and about your mission, about your purpose. I'm excited to hear all about it and share it with our community, because I know the reaches go far beyond our community out into our great state.
Yeah.
So let's kind of go back a little bit to what really brought, in the intro I said, the ministry and oil field. Oil field, we kind of know what brought you here, but what about ministry? How did that impact your move to Bowie?
We were first brought up here from, we were attached to where Central Baptist is now, what used to be River of Life, non-denominational church. That was our home church. And so Pastor Chris Dunn, Carla Dunn, who's my spiritual dad, they somehow we connected with them when we lived in Jacksboro, and the Spirit of God was working on us then, and somehow we just we fell in love with that church, and that was our church home. And we lived in Jacksboro at the time, so we I was working for a oil and gas company down there, and so transferred up to Bowie where they lived, and we moved into their house with them, with their 3 kids. So, and we lived in their shed in the back with my 2 kids. So Sean and I, it was a little 1-bedroom apartment. Jojo and Emery had bunk beds, and Sean and I had the other bedroom.
So Emery, Jojo just graduated high school.
Yeah.
And Emery, she's in junior high?
Yeah.
So she was young then when you moved here?
Very little. And we came up here because of that church, and then, we fell in love with it, and just, we felt God brought us here, and that was the move. And so we put everything in that, and I had no idea what the plan was. And it was just, that's how it started. And so we worked in the church. We, really raised our family in that church, and then the church split, and so then we were just kind of okay, how are we going to continue this ministry? And so that's kind of how it started with Dominion Boxing. That was like the continuation, honestly.
And so we've known each other for a long time. We actually, started out at Synergy, started running together.
Yes.
Doing events, racing together.
Yeah.
You're always the fastest one out there.
Man, it was tough.
So, and I remember, I think there was a time, I don't remember, there was a conversation about a supplement company or something that you and Chris and I had a conversation about. I remember we were sitting in Synergy. We had a conversation about it. So, I mean, that's been, and that's still when River Life Church was right next door.
Right next door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the connection between that and the gym, it was just all made sense.
So, River Life Church splits. Now, Chris, he was still the pastor then?
Yep.
Of River Life. You stuck with River Life Church, and still continued your ministry, helping out in the church through those years. Still in the oil field.
Yeah, we were having church in our home for a little bit, and just doing everything we can to keep it going, and then boom, layoff.
2018 rolls around.
Yeah, and you never think that that so much goodness could come out of chaos. You really don't. You don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know the plan behind it, but I am so thankful for that day, looking back.
With that layoff, because you and I have known each other for a little while, so I do know some more insights.
Mhm.
So there was a trip that you took that kind of spurred on
Mm.
your passion and your plan for Dominion. Really,
Yeah,
I mean, it was a big trip.
it was. It was a very big trip. It was my first connection back with my pastor, and he just calls me and says, "You need to go to Uganda with me." And what we started in Bowie, we're doing over there. And I said, "Okay." I'd never been out of Texas before, so we made a trip out there. And prior to leaving, my daughter Emery, she had asked me that she wanted to try boxing, and I had, at Synergy, I was a TRX instructor,
Mhm.
and did like some P90X and some insanity stuff, and that's all I knew.
Yeah.
Right? That was my life, and I did that before my real job. Right? I just do that and go do my real job, and that was our life.
Mhm.
And I never knew anything about fighting, never knew anything, but she had asked me, and I said, okay. So
Because how old was Emery at this time?
she was about 8. She
Mhm.
was about 8 at the time. And so, and at that time she was having emotional problems, self-esteem problems, the thing of living in the shadow of your athletic sister kind of, it's a thing.
Mhm.
It's a thing. You try to get your kid to find their thing, their niche as parents, get them to find their place in the world, and sometimes it works. You can't force it, So she had asked me she wanted to do boxing, so we went up to Wichita Falls, so the only gym we could find, and we walked in there, and me just being a fitness guy and kind of having an idea of how to punch and kick. But when I saw those heavy bags and those chains, it's like it kind of gets intimidating. And so they had kids class on one side, the adults on the other, and wrapped up my hands, gave me some gloves, and I mean, I fell in love with it. I knew that was what I was supposed to do. I just knew it, and I mean, I was swinging like an idiot, like a crazy man, like an angry man. And we would just go twice a week, and then Emery just got to the point where she was like, we need to have this in Bowie, and I said, yeah, that'd be nice. And so then that's when we left to Uganda, and I had really prayed on it, and I just felt it that I'm supposed to do that. So I'm supposed to bring that here. And sometimes you think it's God talking to you, or sometimes you think it's yourself.
Mhm.
So you just kind of shun it off. Like, there's no way. I'm in the oil field. I'm going to retire, right? There's nothing. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to do that? So, we went to Uganda on a mission trip, and we were deep in the bush, and we were in Mitiana, Uganda, and we were so deep. They barely see vehicles. They're in awe of like anybody that's not black,
Mhm.
white, brown. They're just in awe of them, and they kind of treat you like a god. The more deeper you go, and I remember I had just felt that nudging of the Spirit, just saying, "You've got to do this." And so I told God, I said, "Look, if I'm supposed to do this, I need an absolute sign, an inevitable sign that I cannot argue with, that I'm supposed to open up boxing gym." And I'm not kidding. We came to this marketplace. You kind of come to these marketplaces where you can get water and fruit and stuff like that. And I look over to my left, and there's a boxing gym. There's these kids in a makeshift ring made out of leaves and tree stumps, and they have clothes, just wrapped up clothes on their hands as gloves, and they made a ring,
Uh-huh.
and they're doing it, and I will never forget that day, ever, 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 ever. So I said, okay, I'll do it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I just don't know. And so we did our ministry, and it was amazing. We connected, and I had just felt God move within me and within these people, just to connect with the kids out there. I'll never forget it. And so that's when I came back to the States and had a conversation with you. And I'll never forget that, because I walked into your office and I was like, hey man, I think I'm supposed to start a boxing gym. And I don't know one thing about boxing. And I said, God told me to do it. And I'll never forget that. You said, well, if God told you to do it, you need to do it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll give you that 900 square foot room right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget it. He said, you build it out, you design it. And if God told you to do it, do it. And I mean, I was hoping you would say, don't do it.
I'm the wrong person to come to if you're looking to not do something.
Because I was comfortable in my life, you know? I mean, we were comfortable. And, you know, I had no clue that God was setting me up for this layoff and for something to fall back on, and it's something to actually build from the ground up. I had no idea.
Because at the time, you've just been to a few classes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's not...
Well, I just was like, where do I start? What do I do? So, you know, we had some money saved aside, and I was like, okay, we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put some money into it, and, you know, I'm still working at the time. And so I'm like, I don't have, you know, the time I had, it was like, okay, I loved it so much that I would just, you know, Wichita Falls, I'd go to DFW, I'd go to as many gyms as I could and just ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you use those bags? Why are there so many sizes in gloves? How do you wrap hands? What kind of flooring do you, I mean, I asked every question I could, and I just researched the whole industry. And then I started to look at the rack systems, and I designed a rack system and found the best bags I can. And those bags are still hanging here.
These are some of the original ones.
These are the original ones. That's why
original rack and bags.
Those were the best bags. So I was like, I need something that's going to last for years. And here they are, still hanging. And so designed a 22 bag rack system and put some hanging arms in, and I just ordered what I thought would work, made a retail store of wraps and gloves, and I just adopted that title boxing model, which was, you know, non-contact boxing for fitness,
mm-hmm.
kickboxing for fitness, cardio boxing, cardio kickboxing. Because it was non-contact, because I'm not a fighter,
mm-hmm.
you know, and it was like, what a good way for somebody to transition into that without getting hit,
mm-hmm.
but to have the same emotional product and confidence that you would fighting, you know. So that's what changed Emory. That's what changed me, is that just the confidence, the skyrocket in it, and what it does in kids. Just, I was addicted to it, and so. Yeah.
And to give people a perspective, 22 bags, 900 square feet. Right now, we're sitting at about 10,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Building space that you are in now.
Yeah.
You know, that was 900 square feet. You had 22 bags.
Yeah.
If anybody's seen the old Gladiators Gauntlet, that's about how close the bags were.
I know. Yeah.
There's just enough room for those on one side, and just enough room to an open space for classes and to do some other stuff.
We used every square inch of that place. I remember just late nights in that room, Aaron, just wanting to give up. But laying the rubber flooring, you remember that?
Yeah.
And it's like, and just drilling the holes into the cement.
Yeah,
all my drill bits breaking, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do this. What am I doing? There was so many nights of just disgust and just failure. And I'm like, what am I doing? I can't do this. And somehow somebody would walk in the room, say, hey man, get me on that drill. Or hey, you know, and I would just get help. And
mm-hmm.
it was just, it's just amazing when you look at where everything started. And of course the story just gets even crazier as we go.
And at the time you're still working.
I am.
Still working.
We
in
launched
the oilfield.
classes. Classes, do a soft launch, and
you're doing classes before work, after work.
Yeah.
Working and working till 8, 9 o'clock at night, going to work at 5 o'clock. Doing classes before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all we do is just kind of give other Synergy members an option, right? That's all. I mean, that's just like, okay, because, without your umbrella, I wouldn't know what to do. Without your guidance and mentorship and, because I didn't know how to run a gym. I'm running oil and gas wells, and like it's totally different, and I love that. Like that's my life. This is my hobby, right? This is just my hobby. This is what keeps me fit. This is me time, and I never thought it was going to be a business ever. It was always going to be a hobby, something for my kid to do, And so then yeah, the layoff happens, and then it's like, what?
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
It's not like even it was a build up.
Yeah.
You got a couple months and.
Oh man, yeah. It was, and it was. I remember it was 23 of us, and we're talking about 23 angry men that given their lives, And that was my identity. And you really don't know, like when you've given 12 years of your life to a company. And you put everything into it, and it's like there's an identity shift that happens for a man, right? And it's a crisis. It's not fun. And that manifests in different ways. And so I had two choices: put everything into Dominion Boxing, which maybe made, $5,000 to $8,000 a year where we're at, when knowing I have
and now you have a family to support.
Right, because I would always let kids and people, for free, and the pricing was it was always to make it affordable, because it was just like, well, it's Bowie, you gotta make things cheap. I'm like, so that was my mentality. It was never about making money. It was just always about, okay, this is here to help. It was never about making money. Never. And when that happened, it was like, okay, put our resume out and go get on a rig or something, because I have a checkered past. And what God did for me with that company was a miracle for me to be a company man, a contractor, was impossible. So I took that as, this is where I'm supposed to be for my whole life. I'm going to retire because look at what you did. You don't just turn somebody like that into this. And so when that happened, you can imagine just the emotional, just roller coaster. And it's like, okay, who am I now? Now you have to completely recreate yourself. Completely.
So how scary was it? So what made you decide to go all in on Dominion Boxing?
Yeah, it was my kid. Yeah, and it was about 70% my kid, this community, right? I'd say 80% this community, our members, right? The impact on the kids. And then also it was like, it became this outlet for like anger, to be honest, You can punch things and not go to jail,
It's a cool thing.
It's a cool thing. And you can kind of, so I didn't know that at that time, there was a plan in motion, and I was slowly starting to recreate my whole identity. Dominion Boxing was a cardio model, right? We weren't the fight thing yet. And so we ran that, for several months, and all I would do is just keep visiting gyms and learning and asking, getting as much information as possible. And then yeah, one day we have an MMA guy walk in, and that changed everything. That changed everything. I had never heard of smoker fighters ever. I had never heard of I had just heard of like the UFC and like what you see on TV.
Because a lot of the gyms you're going to ask questions, all that were the non-contact fitness gyms.
Yeah, they were title boxing clubs, and the place.
And so title boxing clubs, no contact.
No contact.
Just
it's
more
just
for fitness.
For fitness, non-contact, and so then and that's the thing about fighting gyms is that when you're trying to run a business out of a fighting gym, you have to look at what's profitable. Fighting gyms are profitable when you have fighters that are actually winning, and that takes time and money and sponsorships. And so you have to have like this fitness model to kind of buffer that, where it's non-seasonal. It's not based on whether a fighter wins or loses. It's not based on a fight camp. It's just anybody can walk in and have a workout. So that model is profitable. Because it goes across the board. It's not specific to this type of person. So that's what everybody told me, and I learned that. I really learned that. And so then we had the moment where we were introduced to the real fighting part of it, and that changed everything. And as you know, if you were in Synergy back in those days, the music just got louder and louder.
Because really the atmosphere changes.
It did. The atmosphere changed, and the element changed, the customer changed, and so then I was like introduced to these fights called smoker fights that they hold. There was a big one in North Dallas. There were some in Central Dallas, and so I was introduced to these to where you can go fight somebody 100% full contact, and there's no, it doesn't go on your record. It's just for practice. So it's like, man. So then I was like, okay. So we bought a mat, which is still here today. That little room we had in the middle was now a mat.
And sometimes you had to pick it up and put it down, right?
Yeah. We had to roll it up and put it down.
It's a good sized mat.
It is.
And it's a branded mat, so it has your logo. So, well, let's hold there for just a second. I want to talk about Dominion, the name.
Yeah.
Where's it? And your logo. Because your logo's changed. Your logo's a little different now than it was, right? You still incorporate. So let's go back. Where did the name come from?
It came from Genesis 1:26, which was, let us create man in our image, according to our likeness. Let man have dominion over all the fish of the sea, the fowl of the earth, over everything that creeps and crawls. That word dominion was the first mandate from God to man in the beginning. And it's still active today. And I fell in love with that word because that was what we were preaching on in Uganda, in Mitiana, was, the core Hebrew meaning of that means to rule and reign. So when God was mandating that, he was basically saying, let man rule and reign over the earth, over all of it. And so that instruction is still valid. It's still active, and it's like, he didn't say let man become victims and become weak and become failures. He said let them rule and reign, and take dominion. So that's why I've always held to that, is that it's and out of that one scripture came our main statement for our fight promotion, which is evolve, fight, and emerge. And we'll get to that later. But that all stems from dominion. So dominion is it's a way of life. It's understanding that you have an inheritance. Yes. And it's your job is to learn and to go grab it and to evolve through it. So dominion to me symbolized so much strength and power and dominance. So that's why, and then it was actually in a dream. where I saw the logo.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lion, I saw a tiger, and the lion represented Africa, which was because Dominion is the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, for me, it's the continuation of River of Life for me and my family. So it is that living from your heart ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So the lion represented the entrance into Africa to preach this message, which we did.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tiger, and this is where it gets really cool, because I would have never known. The tiger represents Thailand. Okay, and you know, God said, He's like, you're going to go to Thailand, and you're going to have a huge impact in that country, just as much as you did in Africa. And so, taking those two animals as being like the highest, you know, the lion being the highest predator in his environment, and the tiger, it was like, okay, that's Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also my mandate. Those are where He said to go next.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so taking those and then making that was my logo.
Mm-hmm.
And so the lion represents ruling, the tiger represents reigning. So it's ruling and reigning from your heart.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the core of it. So, and that's the ministry, and that's fighting is just a platform.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. It's just that it's that boat that Peter used to fish in. It's that table that Matthew was tax collecting off of. You know, it's just that thing that
Mm-hmm.
God uses to reach.
Mm-hmm.
So all I can do is just be the instrument, you know, be the vessel to do it. So yeah, Dominion is it resonates, but again, this is something He's put in motion, you know, and out of everything from beginning to end, I can stand on this one statement that I still don't understand it,
Mm-hmm.
but I've learned that if you understand it, then you know how to undo it.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding kind of the fruit of that can breed control
Mm-hmm.
and pride. Understanding A all the way through Z.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in a moment to where nothing is understood,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing is the same. Everything's always about change, and that's where you need to be. It's a very uncomfortable place,
Mm-hmm.
but to succeed as an entrepreneur or as somebody that's really wanting to change things, you've got to live in the uncomfortable.
And He kept putting you in the uncomfortable. God kept
Oh
putting
yeah.
you in the uncomfortable, from losing your job to, okay, do I go full time? What do I do?
Yeah.
Where do I
Makes
go? Now we move into MMA, smoker
Yeah.
fights.
Yeah.
Something you've never done before, never even really had a clue about
No.
until one person walks into your
Yeah. Yeah. And it was
Dominion boxing, and you go, "Whoa,
Yeah.
there's this whole world out there."
yeah. I've always learned that, you know, when something is destiny, there's always going to be a counterfeit to the original.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's always going to be something that comes into your life that replicates, that counterfeits the original thing that God is really intending to bring you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a replica because it'll offer you the same emotional product what God is really trying to give you, but its characteristics are that it's fast, it's repetitive, it's kind of loud, and it's just very very youthful kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and that, you know, and it always makes you become something that you're not,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so we always fall for the bait,
Mm-hmm.
because a counterfeit can be somebody in a relationship. You know, it can be a girl, a guy, it can be, you know, and it's like we all fall for the bait because we're carnal people. And so it's like, it's not that you failed, it's just that God is merciful still.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I can't tell you how many times I have failed and how many times I have swung and missed. But where I'm standing right now is a miracle. And absolutely. But what I've learned is that you're the miracle. You know, it's not a miracle. We're the miracle. It was in you the whole time.
Right.
So, so we started fighting. Because why not? We're all angry. You know, I don't know really.
So we've gone from this guy that just walked into a boxing gym, a title boxing gym with his daughter, just to because she wants to go, to now getting in the ring, getting hit.
Now and now
learning how to fight.
Learning how to fight.
Without getting a record.
This is the stupid part. You ready? I'm 40 years old.
And wanted to put some gloves on and
started fighting at 40. And that's the stupid part. But I can guarantee you, man, is that I looking back now, I started competitively fighting at 40. I'm 45 now, and I've got 27 fights under my belt. I mean, who does that? I mean, who goes and learns how to fight by getting hit and getting the crap kicked out of you every weekend? I mean, we would take fights anywhere. We would go fight anywhere because we were just this fight club. And so, but that's how I learned. I learned martial arts through fighting, like just brute, uncontrollable, angry fighting. And then I was able to be coached along the way by some great coaches, like really good coaches. And so we did that for a while in Bowie. Every Saturday was sparring day. Roll the mats out, you know,
rolling around.
I mean, kicking and throwing, and it's like there was no safety. There was no, there was nothing. It's just like,
let's get after it.
If you get hit, just keep your guard up. And so it was one of those things that, looking back now, being a licensed official, I'm thankful for that because now I know what to look for safety-wise. Like, because I ref fights, I officiate fights now, and I'm licensed. So it's like, if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't understand the amateur mind. I wouldn't understand the angry mind. I wouldn't understand what angry fighting looks like, you know. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm very thankful for that. And so then we do that for a while, and then we grow. We just start growing at a crazy rate.
And because now you're mixing the two with fitness boxing classes, and now we've got fighters. Now you're adding more fighters, more people. You're coaching those fighters. Now it's just not you in the ring getting beat up, but you have other fighters you're training to jump in the ring and do it. And so you're growing. So you really grow out of that space.
You do. We moved in here.
And so that was, what were you there, about 2 years?
About 2
couple years. Then been here 3. 3 years. So when you move, you're growing. What kind of changes as you moved into a new space? Did you come in contact with? What kind of challenges?
Oh man,
I mean, when you go from a 1,000 square foot space into an enormous space, there's a lot of challenges.
There is. This is it's overwhelming, and that's the main variable in my life is what is overwhelming is the trigger for me that I'm going the right way. Because if it scares the hell out of you, go right for it.
Mm-hmm.
And everything I look at scares the hell out of me because it's something I've never done.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow it ends up working.
So at this time when you move here, 2 years Dominion Boxing in Synergy.
Yep.
Really moved to full time. Was
Yeah.
it producing the amount of income you wanted to?
Oh gosh, no. No.
I mean,
it
because
wasn't.
because one of the reasons I started my hometown is because small businesses in our community, people have the impression, if they're not in a business or an entrepreneur or run a small business, that, man, you can make your own schedule and you're just making money hand over fist.
Oh man, jeez.
And that really wasn't, even when you moved here.
Yeah.
In your space now, it's not really the case, right?
Right, and I will say is that's the trap as a small business owner, is thinking you need to expand, get more bags or get more inventory, and no, I needed a bigger building because we need to get more people. No. It's, looking back now it's too big because of what the other companies are doing. And so you've got to appreciate small beginnings, and you've got to take out your feelings, and for me, what's our challenges? Yeah, because
you get to the point where you love your small business the same as you do your daughters.
Yeah.
I mean, and you get hurt when somebody talks bad about
Sure.
your business, or people don't want to come,
Yeah.
or they stop a membership, or
Yeah.
What'd I do?
Yeah, and I had no, my business partners I have now, they're amazing. Like God sent me two of the best people that I could. They're my anchors. Like I was a sinking ship. And actually they're my sails, and they just put fresh wind in me. And it's like I had no business understanding, with my memberships, and I wasn't on top because I wanted to fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it being a business that was profitable and producing just wasn't a big deal to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I loved fighting so much. I loved the feeling of it. And I just wanted to make Bowie a fight town.
Mm-hmm.
Not kidding.
Because you also brought smoker fights to Bowie.
Yeah, so that was the first start of it. So then we move in here. Gosh, it was a lot of work. This place was a lot of work.
I mean, you've done a lot. It just was a 10 space, right?
It was bad. And I'm thankful for the owner helping me out. He's still a very good friend of mine. He's still, we're sparring buddies. So he's like, yeah, man, I got this building. It's been sitting vacant for 2 years. He's like, it's yours. We'll just clean it up.
Yeah.
This has been the shopper. It's been a car dealership. And there's still the oil stains in this concrete. It was a lot of work to make this into a gym. And so it made no sense on paper. It made no sense. It's like everything is just too much. But we did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I put everything I had into this place. And then, and so we ramped up classes. And then that's when the news came out from Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
And did an interview.
Channel 6, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And I still have that on my phone. And I listen to myself. And I'll never forget it. They're like, so what do you see in the future? I'm like, we're going to be holding fights. You watch. One day, we're going to be holding sanctioned fighting.
And saying that,
yeah,
you're thinking, I have no idea how that's going to happen.
But it was just in me. I was like, you watch. We're going to be a sanctioned fight company.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, we're going to be at the community center, and then we're going to Wichita Falls, and then we're taking over the world. So then it was crazy because I just believed it so much. And fighting is in my blood. Just fighting became this way to autocorrect and to accelerate healing on an emotional plane and a psychological plane. And
What saying that, would you say, in a way, you're kind of addicted to that outlet?
I was. It replaced a lot,
Mhm.
you know, and it was a buffer, just like many vices are, you know. And it was something that, you know, God should have filled, or some, you know, it was a vice, and it was just something that allowed me not to look at reality for a little bit, you know. And somehow, off of all that darkness, God just put this amazing thing, and I would have never known what He was doing. And so we move in here, and we're doing all this, and then COVID hits. And remember, I put everything into this, you know?
Yes.
I mean, oil fields shut down, everything was just done. It's like, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And
So COVID only, it was only about 6 months, 7 months after moving here that,
yeah,
you know, you have this bigger space, and
yeah. So
and then COVID hit. What?
All the gyms shut down. For me, what really drove me into the next phase of the business was I couldn't fight anymore because there was no more smoking fights. So what do? We buy a boxing ring, and we start having smokers here during COVID. And I mean, I was doing like the home video thing for a little bit, checking out body boss boards and doing workouts on a camera and everything. And it wasn't enough to support my family. So we decided to just have fights. And it's crazy looking back because it was like this underground fight club. I'm not kidding. And here's what's crazy about it is that people started coming from all over Texas to fight here.
Your parking lot building be full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
of fighters, of spectators.
And it was like a Netflix movie, man. I'm not kidding, because we had gyms come from all over because people felt and thought just like I did. I'm a fighter and I don't want to lose what I have. You know, there's no sanctioned fighting happening. What else do you have? Nothing. Your gym's shut down, especially if you're in the Metroplex.
Yeah, I mean they're
done.
Yeah,
they're filing bankruptcy. They're just done. But you know, you come to Bowie, nobody cares about a mask. You know, and it's like, hey guys, we're gonna have a smoker here, and they started coming, and that was the start of the Dominion Fighting Alliance. Is that out of COVID fighting, and that was the introduction of that. And so we were having fights, and we would charge people, and that was how I survived. That's how my family survived, was those fights. And so then we created this pool of fighters from all over because we made it a production in here. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why we have this building.
There's lights, there's music. There's
why it's so big. It's a venue. And I had no idea about that. I had no clue. That's what, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a fighting venue. Like, we're going to make this the best experience for this fighter as possible. And everybody fell in love with it. Everybody fell in love with the experience, because as a fighter, you can train combinations and technique and cardio and skill, but nobody's going to teach you how to walk out under the lights, how to walk out in front of a crowd. That's real. Those are real nerves that people don't have training for. The production value of it and being recorded and all these things. And we were able, in my travels in the MMA world before, I was able to take a little bit of the production value of MMA and bring it to the smoker world. And all I did was it's just where I've seen and what I've experienced. I just brought that here. And so we did that. We did a smoker fight every month. And then came out of COVID. And then that's when the state of Texas called me. the the TDLR, the Department of Licensing and Regulation.
And they said,
Oh, well, they said what you're doing is illegal.
oh, thanks.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
They said you need to shut it down now. So again,
we heard about your little smoker fight.
yeah. You begin to make a ripple effect
Then
in
you
the
think,
fight world.
I made some noise in the state of
I
Texas.
did.
It's probably not how you're thinking about it at the time when you get that phone call. But
I know.
So then what happens? They say, hey, you got to shut it down.
Yeah, they did.
So what?
So then, I'm not really much to move on because I was like, number one, I'm not a licensed promoter.
Mm-hmm.
This is private property, and so I have a lot of friends in the fight world, and they were kind of like, yeah, these guys you don't want to cross them. They'll come in and shut you down. I'm like, how? Are they going to walk in and is the Bowie Police Department going to lock the doors? How are they going to shut me down?
Uh-huh.
It's like, I don't see it.
Uh-huh.
And so it's like, and so a friend of mine that was an attorney, he was like, it's in the wording, Eric. You got to just change the wording. You can't, certain words you can use, certain ones you can't. And I was like, okay, that's no problem. I can do that. So then, did that. And
just change the wording?
Just change the wording. And that's really it. And it's like, so then the state and we still had a good, they would call me every single time I have a fight because my flyer would come right across their desk that I post. And they're like, yeah, we see you're doing another fight, Eric. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, because, smoker fights with these exhibitions, they do get a bad light from backyard fighting.
Mm-hmm.
There's some organizations and people that do them, and there's people that have died. And that was on the heels of these phone calls, is that there were some deaths down in Houston, and I just kind of fell in that pool.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we have multiple nurses here, and I mean, I just think that we do it safely, and it wasn't just that brawler fighting anymore. So,
and you still continue those smoker fights?
We just started. Actually, this Saturday is going to be our first one since here, and that'll be our 24th one.
Smoker fight here.
Smoker fight. We've done 22 of them here in Bowie.
So how do you now you've kind of transitioned to, so now you're promoting, you're a licensed official. So kind of explain, going into that, how did you kind of start promoting? Because now you're in the Metroplex, right?
Well, so
Wichita Falls.
So the smoker fights happened for about a year. About over a year. We ran that train for a while still doing classes here. So then we had this model. It's like, okay, I'll train you, and you just fight here. So then it's very rare to have a gym and to have the opportunity right there.
Right here. You don't have to go out of town.
Yeah. So that's what kind of made us the smoker of North Texas, of the whole state. Everybody knew about the Dominion Smoker. They knew that we did the production well. We were organized. And we were very well respected in the fight world. So so back to the conversation with the state, we finally got to the point where I was just a thorn in their ass. Not gonna lie, they were like, "You got to stop. You just got to stop." And I'm like, look. This is on private property, and nobody's getting hurt. And this is what we're gonna do. They're like, "What do we need to do to get you licensed?" That was the conversation. So I said, look, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just help me out, I guess. And they're like, look, you just need to become a licensed promoter because of what you're doing is on such a big scale. We don't want anybody to get hurt. I'm like, I can respect that. So, I mean, this was over a year of just me and the state, and we have a great relationship now. But it's like, it was tough for a minute. So, yeah, God sent me some amazing partners into my life to basically run the business while I be the promoter. And so we filed for a license. I became a licensed pro promoter and an amateur promoter for combative sports in Texas. So it made sense to go to Wichita Falls. We were going to do our first sanctioned fight because we had all the fighters, and that's the most difficult part about being a promoter is having a pool of fighters. But we had already done that over the last several years. We had gyms that were committed to us. We had
kind of unknowingly
just fell into it. It made sense. It's like, okay, why don't you make it into a real business and actually change things? So we did, and we bought an octagon, paid off our ring, and filed and had our first show in Wichita Falls.
And an octagon that you put together, take down, wherever your
It's
location.
portable. It goes with us wherever we go. Again, this is a whole other thing. Overwhelming. I have no idea what I'm looking at. I have no idea what to do. I have no idea how to do it. I have no guidance. I have no direction. Just go through it, and you'll learn on the other side of it. And I mean, I was scared to death because now you're talking about money, a lot of money. But you're looking at things you have in place as far as you're just coming out of COVID. There's no promotions. They're all dead. There's the UFC, and there's maybe one more. But what an opportunity to come in out of COVID and capitalize on fighters that are just hungry for opportunities. And so it made sense.
And so is this when you came up with Dominion Fighting Alliance?
So that's when, like during the smokers and all that, that's when this changed to Dominion Training Camp. Because we were no longer just boxing. We were everything. So we were mainly more of a camp where we hosted fights, we did full MMA training, had a great staff, great people. And so then, when we filed for the license, that was the birth of the Dominion Fighting Alliance. That was the DFA. Same lion and tiger, just different, just a different form, same Dominion meaning. Nothing changed on that. It's just, it organically happened on its own. Like the state called me. I would have just still been doing Bowie fights right now.
If they hadn't said,
right,
hey, what can we do to make this?
And again, it's that same, Dad, I wish there was a gym in Bowie, Well, Eric, if God told you to do a gym, you better do it. And it's like, it's just, there's always these connecting, confirming dots every step I make.
And so how has that changed the place we're in now? How's that, do you still have classes? Do you still have?
Yeah. So we've, we still do classes. Obviously my time table has completely changed. We have 2 promotions now. So I run 2 promotions and this gym full time.
So 2 promotions as in?
We have a MMA promotion, which is the Dominion Fighting Alliance, and we have a new one that is actually the most exciting thing in my life right now, which is the Dominion Muay Thai Championships, which is the only promotion in Texas that platforms the WBC, which is the highest gold standard. It's the highest sanctioning body in the world, and that just happened a couple months ago, and that is something that has just blown me away in my wildest dreams, how that connected. So we tried a first sanctioned fight in Wichita Falls, and it was expensive, and it obviously you're not going to profit, but you do want to grow. And I take that very seriously. It didn't really do like we did. The show was great. Fighters loved the experience, so we did a second show. Same thing. Showed a little growth, but it was just not a fight town for us.
Right.
And so I had no idea that there was another big thing on the horizon. So I am, so I'm doing classes here full time. Did 2 shows up there, learned, understood how to do. I finally understand how to make a fight, which is totally different than here. Totally different when you're dealing with state protocols and deadlines and medicals, and there's just insurance, and there's so much to it. There's and just the cost and the vendors, and it's a production, and it's just me. It's just me and my wife, and that's it. We're setting up the cage. We're tearing it down. We're doing it all from back end to front end, doing it all because I want to know it all. I want to understand all the ins and outs of this industry. So knowing the grassroots there, I was like, man, we can't do another show there. It's just not going to work. So we just let some time go by, and then I'm like, I get this call from this guy in Irving who has a venue there, and he had heard because we were looking for venues, cheaper rent, better relationship. We needed a business owner, not a city venue. So I get a call from this guy in Irving who owns Southern Junction, and it was just. He was like, yeah, you want to take a look at it? I'm like, yeah, I'll go take a look at it. And it was raining that day. I'll never forget. So a friend of mine, I was like, man, it's raining. I'm not going to go. So he's like, just go, Eric. I'll go with you. Okay. This ride changed everything. Because again, we need another venue. We're in the wrong town, right? Not going to work there. So then I'm driving there. And then it's raining, and then I get a call from, and he's a close friend of mine now. His name is Bobby Peak, and he is the supervisor for Texas for the WBC. And he calls me, and he's like, we know each other through like mutual fighters. He's had fighters fight for me and stuff in the past. And so it was like, hey, Eric, we're looking to bring the WBC into Texas. And we're looking for a promotion to platform this. And I said, he's like, we want you to create the Dallas market. He's like, we kind of already got, Austin, Houston, San Antonio market somewhat established. And we want to create a Dallas market. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on the way to Irving right now to look at a venue. So that was like, wow. You serious? He's like, yeah. I was like, I'm on my way to look at a venue in Dallas. So that started it. That was the start of our new promotion because the DFA was MMA, kickboxing, and Muay Thai. It was a hybrid of all 3, which is what, and this is my mandate on what I'm trying to impact. Going through those shows in Wichita, right? And my gym is a Muay Thai gym. This is a kickboxing gym. That's the martial art. This gym is that's what we love. So yes, we train boxing, we do striking, but if you were to ask me what is your gym specialized in, it's Muay Thai, kickboxing. That's our love. That's what we fought. That's what we do. We weren't really we had MMA here. It just really wasn't, and I'm so grateful for the people that benefited from that, but it just wasn't in my wheelhouse. So Muay Thai changed my life. That helped me find me again. It bridged me back to reality. And so the system in Texas is somewhat flawed as far as combative fighting, and it needs to change. So you go to a traditional fight anywhere in Texas, and this is just Texas. number one, it's very hard to succeed in Texas. There's very few promotions here.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, because of the cost, and two, because of the competition.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to evolve in a system where the officiating it needs updating.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to a fight, you can watch an MMA fight, Muay Thai fight, and a kickboxing fight all together in the same night.
Uh-huh.
Here's the kicker: is that it's the same three judges. So it's like, how is that fair to somebody that's just been training Muay Thai?
Mm-hmm.
And the fight right before yours was an MMA fight,
Mm-hmm.
which includes, it's a whole different martial art.
Mm-hmm.
So there needs to be officials trained specifically for that sport to make it fair. And Muay Thai is a huge sport.
So how do you go about getting those officials? Is that something you're working on? And
Yeah, we actually did it. And you bring the WBC Muay Thai
Mm-hmm.
from Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
You bring them into Texas, which has never been done before. And we
Thailand. What was in your dream
did it. It was.
that you were going to be going
It
to?
was. So, Muay Thai is birthed in Thailand.
Uh-huh.
It is their football. It is their everything. It is a sport that I have loved, fallen in love with. I continue to. It's in my blood forever.
So how is this affecting your gym now? I mean, are you still teaching classes?
Yeah. Still teach classes in mornings and nights. I am just not that point to where I am like fight team training.
Uh-huh.
I'll train. It's just my time is so limited that if I have like 2 or 3,
Uh-huh.
that's really all I can do.
Mm-hmm.
But a whole team, I just don't have the time anymore because it's just me.
Uh-huh.
Sean handles the weightlifting side of the gym. I handle the combative side. So I have been ushered into this position of creating opportunities
Mm-hmm.
that have never existed. Helping revise an officiating system that needs updating
Mm-hmm.
for our state and for our athletes. Making sure there are safety protocols implemented in exhibition fighting
Mm-hmm.
that have never been there. So my position has changed as far as all around the whole state of Texas for the sport, helping fix the officiating problem, giving true, authentic Muay Thai officiating, and so that's what our other promotion is about.
Mm-hmm.
It is specifically WBC,
Mm-hmm.
just Muay Thai, and you fight for us. It's like you're going to get a true, authentic Thai scorecard,
Mm-hmm.
and that is going to create so much opportunity because people are going to want to go to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we made. So that was our first fight in March, in our new venue in Irving,
Mm-hmm.
Southern Junction. We've done 2 fights there. They went great. We had our first pro fight in May.
Mm-hmm.
I gave away my first 2 championship belts of the DFA,
Uh-huh.
and so there's 2 people that hold championship belts with the lion and tiger on them. And they have to defend them later.
How good does that feel?
Oh, you have no idea, man.
Started out in 2018.
Yeah.
From a trip to Uganda to a dream.
Yeah.
To see those lion and tiger in the name
Mhm.
being presented as a championship belts. And,
Yeah.
And all coming from Bowie.
Yeah.
Being a birthplace of really an impact that started here in our community. I talk a lot about we want to change the world. We want to change the world, but oftentimes we don't think about changing our world.
Yeah.
And that's where you started.
Sure.
Was changing, what can I change in a 900 square foot room?
Yeah.
What people's lives can I change?
Yeah.
What people's lives can I change in a 10,000 square foot building?
what lives can I change in our community of 5,000?
Yeah.
Now, what lives can I change in the state of Texas?
That's right.
Which is going to go far and beyond
Sure.
our state.
Absolutely.
But it starts small,
Mhm.
and it starts with a passion, starts with a heart.
Mhm.
It starts with being uncomfortable, God telling you,
Yeah.
go there. I don't know why, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm
Yeah.
flawed. I don't have the resources, I don't have the know-how, I don't have the experience.
Right.
You know, I've said it before that that God doesn't call those that are ready; He calls those that aren't ready.
Sure.
To that's that's the calling. He calls those that aren't prepared.
Yeah.
And we just have to listen and follow.
Sure.
What over the we've talked about. You've had a lot of successes in our community for sure. From people coming to the smoker fights to coming to classes, struggles from COVID to
Yeah.
being laid off, and you've turned those challenges into lessons,
Sure.
into successes.
Yeah.
What can we do? This is our problem, and I think it's a good point for any small business owner, especially in our small community. You had the same challenges as the rest of us.
Yeah.
Why did some go out of business and some have really succeeded? Now you've succeeded far and beyond the class. Now you're holding, venues in the Metroplex and growing through the state and changing the way it's done in the state because you look for opportunity to make those changes and lessons. And you've worked to find out, I don't know this.
Yeah.
You went around, checked out, what don't I know? Let me find out what I don't know. Let me get my hands dirty, set up and take down the ring.
Yeah.
So when there's going to be a day when you don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
There's going to be a day when you don't teach classes anymore. There's going to be a day that people go, you used to teach classes.
Yeah.
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 So now, what does Dominion Training Camp have to offer Bowie? If somebody comes in and says, what do you have to offer me? What do you have to offer? I'm not looking to be a fighter, but what can I expect?
Yeah, it's kind of gone back to the grassroots of when we were in Synergy. Honestly, it's kind of gone back to that. You're going to get, I would say, to the adult first, and then to the kid. To the adult first, you'll get, because I just don't want to say a workout, because before it was just a workout. But being a licensed official for the WBC, I look at Muay Thai and kickboxing as, okay, you're walking into the only gym for a while that teaches true, authentic Muay Thai kickboxing based on the WBC scorecard, which is very, very rare.
And we're not talking about the only gym in Texas. We're talking about the only gym
Oh man,
in
yeah.
Texas.
Yeah, I mean, you go down south.
Uh-huh.
That's where you'll find them, and there's some in the Metroplex, but it's like for this area, it's like, do you not just and this is just isn't about a workout. It's like you're gonna learn from the ground up, authentic Muay Thai kickboxing. Well, I mean, the fitness and the workout that'll just come along with it, but it's the confidence and it's the knowing that, okay, my coach is a licensed official. I'm not just this angry guy anymore. You know what I mean? And that's my heart. That's truly my heart, is that I can put somebody on the bag, I can teach them how to strike, and I explain every combination, every scenario in a scoring environment, right? And that to me means a lot, because I'm not just going to let you sit here and wail on this bag. I'm not going to let you sit here and kick it incorrectly. I'm not going to let you hurt yourself. You're going to have self-control. You're going to do it. Everything you're going to do is going to be based on, you can sit here and just punch on the bag and never fight your whole life, and that's great. But I want you to learn the right way. You know what I mean? And it took me years to get to that. So to me, if an adult walks in, it's like, you're going to learn this way, not just like the default Texas way.
Mhm.
We're going to learn this way.
Mhm.
That changed me. And if that's for you, great. If not, that's it. And I would say our main growth right now
Mhm.
in the Dominion training camp in Bowie are my teenagers.
Mhm.
And I've got a great group of teenagers here, and it's big.
Mhm.
I mean, every bag in here will be full on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. My kids' class, and they've been with me for a long time. And I would say, Bowie has a big bullying problem. It always has, and it's always going to be there.
Mhm.
And that's the whole thing of getting started with Emory and all this is that I have parents call me and they're like, we just don't know what to do.
Mhm.
We've taken them out of school because the bullying's so bad, and we're just homeschooling now because we don't know what to do.
Mhm.
Just like, just drop them off. Just drop them off.
Mhm.
And don't try to figure it out. Just because I've seen what this can do.
Uh-huh.
And I have, for a kid that's going through that, or a
Mhm.
parent that knows somebody, or even is going through that same situation themselves, martial arts is the way to go.
Mhm.
And it's not about fighting people. It's about knowing how to defend yourself, getting the confidence on how to do it, and being able to make mistakes in a safe environment, and being able to, learn the basics, start sparring
Mhm.
safely, and then, let the kid express themselves through the bag.
Mhm.
And that's the one impact that I am so grateful for. Regardless if everything shuts down tomorrow, I am so grateful for the impact that this gym has had on these kids in this community. It is profound, and it is long lasting. And even of the adults that have come and gone here, I mean, there has been a lot of fighters that have come through this place, a lot. And if I was able to offer, 6 minutes in that ring that changed their life, my job's done.
Mhm.
If I was able to offer them a season in their life to where they looked at something in themselves, took responsibility for it, and grew from it, that's great, And I would say the impact and the thankfulness I have for this community is that it's fresh ground,
Mhm. Mhm.
and there's people that need this.
Mhm.
There's kids that need this, There's not a million, and it's like my brother, and my friend Tyson, who was my real MMA guy that came in after the counterfeit came in, and he came in and he's like family, and Calvin, and they opened a gym down in Jacksboro,
Mhm.
and it's like that's the way of Dominion.
Mhm.
They were with me for years, through every smoker fight, cornering, helping, teaching, holding pads,
Mhm.
walking out with, and they opened their own gym.
Mhm.
And Jacksboro doesn't have a gym.
Mhm.
That's it.
That's
They created it.
uh-huh.
And I can sit back and just be like, I am so thankful for that.
Mhm.
That if everything was to end tomorrow, I am so thankful that now they can do that.
Mhm.
Now they can go be the Dominion wherever, right?
Wherever they're at.
Wherever they're at. And then now what I'm doing on the state level is different. But Yeah.
And so Dominion offers that for the kids, for adults, for boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing. Then also you have classes, and they're all. And then what you have? You said Sean takes care of the gym side,
Yep.
strength side. So then they can also join that,
Yep.
be a part of that,
Yep.
in addition to boxing, or just that, or
yeah, you can just do personal training with her, or you can do membership here, which gives you striking classes, kickboxing classes, Muay Thai classes, and it's just a matter of what you want, and you just got to move in. And this place is designed to where it's non-intimidating, to where you have your own bag, and because I've been through those gyms where it's like, where do I go? Where do I stand?
Uh-huh.
And I've been to those gyms where, you know, there's a pecking order
Mm-hmm.
and there's an alpha you have to go through. And if you're not a fighter, they just put you in the corner. They don't care about you, and it's the worst feeling ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through that a lot, and I said, I will never make anybody feel like that walks into this place. I want this to be inviting, and you have your own pack. That's why there's so many in here. So
Sure. And so just a couple more questions. One, the last one, moving here 12 years ago from Jacksboro, what makes Bowie, you call Bowie my hometown.
yeah.
What about Bowie makes you call Bowie my hometown?
Oh man, it has been this this incubator of just change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is for me. It is like this. To me, it's rest. It's also chaos. It's a schoolroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this place of just preservation that the Holy Spirit has, and that there's just a level of grace that is just unmerited out of this town, and I've felt it, and that's why we moved here 12 years ago, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget the mission of helping. I'll never forget the mission of teaching people how to live from their heart, which is a very, very hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that this is, you know, this is the place. This
Mm-hmm.
is my Galilee. You know, this is where every temptation is about, every vice is about. But there's more grace that's abounding than sin, you know. And it's like I'm grateful for the people. I'm grateful that my daughter graduated and is off to college. I'm grateful for our home. It's the first home we ever bought, and we still have it. And I'm grateful it's a place my girls can always come back to. I'm grateful that my wife's business is great. Her clients are, you know, she impacts their lives on a level that I'll never understand, but she does. She does a lot of work between her personal training and running a home and running 3 kids, you know, and Skylar being gone, my oldest, and she's back and forth all the time. But yeah, I couldn't do any of this without her. There's just no way. She's at every show. It's she and I.
Mm-hmm.
She handles the box office. I handle the back, and it's same thing when we get here.
Uh-huh.
I handle up here. She handles over there, and it's just like I couldn't ask for a better partner.
And what's the best way for people to connect with Dominion, whether with Dominion Training Camp? What's the best way to connect?
Yeah, I would say locally, just walk in, and I want people like to walk around here
Uh-huh.
because there's just so much history here.
Mm-hmm.
This place is like a museum at this point.
Mm-hmm.
There's been so much historical things that have happened here,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like people to visualize themselves here first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other than the Facebook page, and you know, because everything I have is on the Dominion Training app.
Uh-huh.
So I like everything to kind of be more inclusive in here,
Mm-hmm.
and walk around, look at it. Because once you're in here, you'll immediately visualize yourself. You know, just like at the gym. It's like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I can see myself bench pressing that or curling that. You gotta get them in here. So connect with us by walking in. Of course, our Facebook page. But I would just say this is a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
This is a wheel to a much larger machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of many wheels that is making something bigger go.
Yeah.
And anybody that could be a part of that, I think it's a magical time
Mm-hmm.
to be a part of something that big,
Mm-hmm.
because these promotions, they're going to be national.
Mhm.
And I can say that now because I don't know. Again, I don't know how it's going to happen.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Right now, we're regional,
Mhm.
but it's going to become a national brand to watch. And yeah.
Well, thank you, Eric, for spending a little time with me and sharing your heart, sharing Dominion, the journey, what it's meant to our community, what it's going to mean to our state, what it's going to mean to our country, things all over the world.
Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate
You
that.
got it, man.
And good luck.
Appreciate it, brother.
You're welcome.
Thank you, man.
Thank each of you for stopping by and visiting with us on My Hometown. We're looking forward to seeing you around my hometown.